What is going on, YouTube? Patrick here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over what I sold for hopefully a profit on eBay last week. No Facebook Marketplace sales this week, and it was not quite as good of a week last week, but still pretty dang good. We had 21 sales, so not 33, but still $706 in sales, right? So like about a little over $100 less, a lot less items sold, but a higher dollar value, which is ultimately my goal. Last year with COVID, was just kind of buying anything, but really my goal is to just buy higher dollar items, even if I have to pay a little bit more sometimes for those. Still, obviously trying to get them as cheap as possible. But with that, let's get into it. All right, first item. You may have seen this one before. This is a Star Wars toy from Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I had seen this on the shelf at Savers and just knew what it was. Looked it up real quick, saw that it was selling for about $20. The reason why I think you guys may have seen this is because I had this in a previous What Sold video and it was returned. Luckily, it did not make it out into the mailbox before it opened up the return request. They basically just said that they had changed their mind. What are you gonna do? I was into this only for like $3.50. Sold it for $20. So, and that's what I thought it was worth. So, nice little easy flip there, right? No moving parts. I think it is electronic, so I had to make sure the batteries are working. Just one of those things I like to do with toys and stuff, but very easy there. All right, second item this week. This was a Heather item. I've been helping her sell some stuff from her dad's storage unit. There was this really interesting American Eagle looking shield thing. I looked it up, and there was some of the bigger ones were selling for over $100. This one was a little on the smaller side. By small, I mean like, probably I can't even get it on the screen, right? Probably about that big. This thing was pretty cool. It was only for sale for like a couple weeks actually. I listed it for $50, and that's what I ended up getting for it. So really happy with that. So since it's a commission for Heather, it's going to be 40% to her, 40% to me, and then 20% to eBay. So $20 to her, $20 to me. Like pretty nice little flip there. A little bit more work because it was so big and a little bit fragile, but it was a neat item to sell, that's for sure. All right, going into the next item. This one's a mother-in-law item. So Minnie still working through this stuff. This is from my wife's grandmother's house. We cleaned it out, just went through and got rid of a bunch of stuff, and I was able to pick a bunch of things that I wanted to sell for them on eBay, try and make them some more money, and done pretty well so far. I've sold a ton of stuff. We could have honestly been going through that house forever, listing things on eBay. So I really just kind of had to cherry pick the stuff that I wanted to sell. And this was one of the items. There was a bunch of like board gamey type stuff, and this was in there. But it was this neat little pinball game from like the 1960s, I think, something like that. It was in good shape. It still had the box, which was pretty crazy. So I listed it for $13, and I took a best offer of $10. Pretty easy, not a ton of money. $4 to me, $4 to Minnie. Thank you, Minnie. All right, item number 4. This is another Heather item. One of the items that her dad had was this really neat little Denon stereo receiver. And I was like, this is pretty cool by itself. It's worth like 20 to 40. Then we kept going through boxes and I found the remote, and I'm like, that's going to add another $20 to $40 in value. I hooked it up, had some speakers, right? So I turned it on to try and test it, and it just wasn't outputting to both speakers the way I wanted it to. I don't know enough about stereos to like really worry about it too much, like as far as to try and fix it. And it wasn't like a huge high dollar stereo where I was like, you know what, I should look to sell this for parts or even get it repaired before selling it. So it went into the trash. Listed the remote control. I think I listed it for $40, thinking I might be able to get 30 for it, and I ended up taking a best offer of $23. So about $9 to me and about $9 to Heather. So Heather, we're getting it done. We're getting it done. All right, item number 5. This is actually from my personal use. Let's see. Over the years, I had bought a bunch of Dell computers for use for different things. Right, it just ended up being like every 3 or 4 years, order a new computer from Dell, able to customize it from them. Worked really well. So this was, I believe, computer number 3. And so I was using it these days just for eBay mostly, a little bit of poker on the side, that kind of stuff. And I was using it about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that. It just died. I don't know what had happened to it. And I just had it sitting here in the nursery / eBay room. And so I was like, you know what? Part of this project with this room here is get rid of things from here, Gotta just make it nice and tidy, gotta straighten things up. And so that was like one of those things I'm like, okay, this is going in the garbage. Can't throw things away, right, guys? You can't just throw things away. You gotta see if it's worth something first. So I looked it up and they were selling, I don't know, 100 plus. And I was like, okay, but I got to take the hard drive out. So made sure to drop that off my balcony and throw it in the garbage. Saved all the parts so that somebody else could put one in. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to list it for 100 and just see how it does. It sold within minutes. So I definitely underpriced it. You know what? It was sitting in here collecting dust for over a year. $100 is great. I listed it for parts. I think I listed it as no returns because I was like, this thing died for some reason that I don't know. I did include the AC adapter with it though, so that may have helped. Don't know, don't care. $100, great sale. Not the sale of the week though, if you noticed. That's always good. All right. This next item number 6, I think. I had bought these. I saw these come up like last year at the beginning of COVID, right? This was going to be a convention exclusive from San Diego Comic-Con, and I love toys and I love Jurassic Park, and I thought the advertisements for this was just really cool. I would love to get a prop of the Barbasol can, and I was like, this is just probably going to be the closest I'm going to be able to get, right? I'd love to get the one that opens up and you can put the little dinosaur embryos in there. Not going to probably happen. So I was like, okay, why don't I buy 2 of these and I'll probably be able to flip one of them and then be able to pay for both of them. So that's what I did. I bought 2. I sold one immediately for like $55 and I ended up paying about $52, including shipping, for both of them. So I was like, all right, the fees are going to take a little bit away from there, but I'm happy, right? I'm very happy about this. Like, I just sold it. It's gone. I get one to keep. And I had opened the second one up and I really just did not like it. It was bulky. It didn't really look like it didn't look like a real can. It looked like a storage container for the action figure. And that wasn't really the purpose of me buying it. I thought the action figure would be kind of neat, but I just didn't realize it was going to be what it was. So it sat on the shelf, tried to figure out what I wanted to do with it, and finally just decided, same thing, cleaning out the baby's room here, trying to get ready for him to be born. And I was like, I'm just going to sell this. And I'm doing that with a lot of the stuff that I had bought and bought to hold. And it just hasn't gone up in value over the last year or two. So I'm like, okay, let's get rid of this stuff. Put it up. Since it was open, I thought it's not going to be worth the $55 I got for the first one. They're still selling for about that if they're brand new. So I listed it for $40, and it actually ended up selling within a reasonable amount of time, like within a day or two, something like that. So I have put the full amount of cost that I paid for it. It was $28.21, and I sold it for $40, right? So no profit here. More about just recouping that cost that I had put into it originally, thinking that this was going to be part of my collection. All right, next one's an easy one. One of the things I had up on the shelves was all these empty cases of games that either I had bought the case and there was no game inside, which understandably my wife knows this is a problem of mine. I'll just buy a lot of games and I won't check to see if there's a disc inside the case. Pretty ridiculous. I know. I need to get better at that, but we all make mistakes, right? We got to forgive ourselves. But some of that I was going through, I wanted to keep like 1 or 2 from each system just as a backup, just in case I find a disc that's loose. I can pair it up with the higher value games. But for this one, I had 2 of them, and I was like, I do not need 2 for sure. Let's see if any of them are selling on eBay. Sure enough, it looks like they're selling for 10 plus shipping, so I listed it, and it sold within a few days. So since I had originally figured this was worthless, I just put $0 on there. So $10 from 0. Pretty cool. All right, up next, PlayStation Portable Game Lot, right? Just lotting up all this extra inventory that wasn't worth selling by itself. Since there was 8, I think, things in there, 7 or 8 things, actually had a kind of a higher cost on it. I had about $10 or maybe $11 into it. So I didn't make any money on this stuff, you guys. I basically broke even on this. Hopefully when I bought these games, I had gotten some other games with them that would have made some nice profit. But these were kind of the leftovers. One of the guys that I follow on YouTube, he calls it Snickle Fritz, right? This is your common games, I guess. So, right, it's gone, it's out of the house, and I didn't lose money on it. That's what's important here. All right, up next, I went through all of my books, and I've got a bunch of Harry Potter books. Like, I've been collecting the paperbacks, I've been collecting the hardcovers. The collections are actually not that hard to complete. I usually end up selling like 4, 5, 6 sets of those a year. Paperbacks, I think I've only ever sold one complete set. And I'm just like, why am I buying these? Like, you tend to find numbers 1 through 3, maybe even 4, kind of all the time. I have never seen more than one of 6 or 7. Like, I literally had bought a complete collection. I think that's the only time I've seen 6 and 7. You know what? Maybe I've seen 6 twice, but right, that's how infrequently you find those. And even 5, I think I ended up having 2 of them, something like that. Versus the hardcovers are super common for those. So I was like, let's get rid of these, right? So put it up for $15. It sold within a couple days. I was into it for about $6, right? They usually cost about $1 a book. I'd probably keep buying these if I could get them for like a quarter, maybe 50 cents, right? Knowing I could turn it into a $15 purchase. They ship media mail, so they're super easy to ship and sell. All right, this was a pretty good one. I had got these from Savers, this guy from Savers, and it was one of the ones that the guy that I made friends with there had turned me on to. Right, I was standing around, I wasn't really sure what I was going to get, and he's like, "Hey, did you notice this?" And I was like, "No, I usually don't pay much attention to DVD players." I noticed it was Blu-ray, HD DVD, and DVD combination player. I was like, "That's pretty cool." So I looked it up. I thought they were selling for about $100, but after it's been for sale for a couple months now, I was just like, okay, it's time to start taking offers on this, right? So looking like I was going to be getting like in the $70 to $90 range, and within a couple days, I got an offer for like 75. So I was like, okay, that seems pretty reasonable. I was into this for about $20. So I tripled my money on it for sure, even after fees. So like pretty good flip, pretty good. All right, let's see. This is actually another one from that same guy, right? He was out putting stuff out right when Savers opened, and he says, "Hey, I've got an Xbox 360. Would you like to buy it?" I was like, "Of course I want to buy it." I love buying and selling video games. So he brought it out. They wanted 17 for it, and I'm like, even just selling the console by itself, I could probably get $50 for it, which is exactly what it sold for within a few hours of me listing it. So really easy flip right there. All right, you guys, it's time for the sale of the week. This is another from my personal collection. I had bought these off of shopdisney.com last year. I bought 2 sets of them. Wasn't sure what we were going to do with the second set. I knew I wanted one for myself because they're super interesting and I love Star Wars. But I was like, I'm just not really sure what I want to do. And so it was a buy and hold again. I just decided, let's just hold on to them. It looked like right away they were selling for about $130 for the set. And I think up front they wanted $20 each. So I think I was probably into it for about $120. So even with the shipping that I had to pay to get it and with eBay fees, if I sold one set, I should be able to pay for the other set. And I was just like, I don't know what I want to do with this. And so buy and hold, right? Just sit on the shelf. Maybe I was going to give them out for Christmas presents. Wasn't really sure. Finally, again, cleaning out the baby's room. I'm like, I got to do something with this. Either they have to go to the storage unit and go into a bin so that they can sit there, or I've got to get rid of them. I talked with Amber and she's like, let's get rid of these things. So listed it, and within a couple days, I listed it for $150, and even though I knew it would probably be more like $130, and sure enough, within a couple days, I took a best offer of $135. And again, I was into this for about $60. I think probably about $10 for shipping, something like that from Shop Disney. So I think it was about $70. So I didn't quite double my money on it, but not bad. All right, this one's actually
Amber's weird sale of the week.
This was in a big other bundle of figures that I had got back in the fall, and I was able to identify them as Rainforest Cafe figures. They didn't have a ton of value. It looked like if you had more figures than I had, you could get like $10 plus. But I was looking for things to list, and I just thought, you know what? I'll list these for 7 plus shipping, see how long how fast they'll sell. 4 or 5 months later, I was like, I've had it with these. I got an offer for $550, and I took it. Right? I was just like, let's move on. I tried to look these up in my inventory before I made this video, and I couldn't find them. So somehow I had forgotten to write these down and assign any kind of cost to it. So for the sake of this right now, I put $0 cost. All right, I thought this one was going to be a contender for the weird sale of the week. A little AC adapter, right? Like that's one of my rules when I buy things. I buy lots of stuff. Look everything up. You never know what's going to be worth money. I have found some crazy things that I'm like, there's no way this has value, and then selling them for $20, $30, $40, $50, right? For pieces what I thought were junk, basically. So this was in that kind of a list, right? I'm like, okay, AC adapter. Most of these have model numbers on there, you guys, right? So type the model number in eBay, you'll know right away if this has value or not. And I was just like, you know what? This is selling pretty regularly for about $7 plus shipping. I was like, I'll just list it. It's one of those days where I'm like, I need one more item to kind of get me into my daily 5 items. This is an easy one. Let's list it. It actually sold within like 2 weeks, I think. So this one I was into for $1. All right, this next one is a Heather item. Uh, she There was a bunch of paper ephemera in all the stuff we had from her dad's storage unit. I went through all of it and I've sold a few of the railroad stuff that she had in there and that he had in there. And this was all the stuff that was like not really selling on its own. And I was like, you know what? Let me make a lot. I'll just put it into a big bundle. And if it doesn't sell, that's okay. I won't have lost too much time here. Very easy to just take a couple of pictures of these things. And I was like, maybe I'll get between like $7 and $12, something like that. And I'll list it at 12 and I'll probably take a best offer. And it sat for a few months, honestly, but really easy to like put on the shelf and just not worry about it for a while. Sure enough, finally it did sell. So it's going to be about $5 to me and $5 to Heather. All right, getting pretty close to the end here. Matt, I don't apologize to you up front for this one, buddy. I tried really hard. So I found these at a garage sale, I think about 2 years ago, something like that. I paid $0.25 each for them, and I actually got a whole bunch of these Forgotten Realms, Dungeons and Dragons style books. And a lot of my friends just love these books so much. Like the characters, all this stuff, they still talk about them. And I honestly tried to get into it. And I got about a quarter of the way through the book, and I was just like, I hate this. So what did I do? I'm like, is this series worth anything on eBay, on Amazon, something like that? And sure enough, it was selling on eBay for a little bit of money, like $20 with free shipping. And I was like, I was into these for $0.25 each. Let's see if they sell. They actually sold within a couple of days of listing. Probably looked like because they really looked pretty unread. Like I tend to take care of my books, and whoever I had bought these from had done the same. So great little flip, $16.50 from 75 cents. I'll take it. Books are super easy to ship. All right. Another of these kind of miscellaneous items from my personal like collection of weirdness. I've got just a ton of these Gamecube memory cards, so I put a bunch of them up for sale. This one finally did sell for $10. Into it for $0 because I probably got it with a huge bundle of Gamecube stuff a couple years ago. All right, this was a late summer pickup that I had gotten in I remember it was over at West Hartford, and I just remember seeing that there was this little bin full of toys, and I was like, how much do you want for that? And I think they were like $5. And I had bought an inflatable from them, a Christmas inflatable, and I had bought a couple other things from them. And I was just like, yeah, $5 for all these toys, of course. I don't know what's in this bin. I have done great buying big bins full of toys in the last couple of years. So I was like, this is going to be fun to go through. And it turned out most of it was Polly Pocket. I listed for $50, and I think I may have listed a little too high. Because looking at my records, I had figured that the value was going to be about $20. So why did I list it for $50? I have no idea. I must have found a couple that had sold recently for that range, and I thought dollar signs, right? Like I can get $50 for this. That was never going to happen. I got constant offers in like the $20 to $30 range. Finally, somebody made me an offer last week for $32. Sold. All right, so this one is a Matt item, so I can say thank you to Matt for this one. He is doing something similar where he's doing some spring cleaning at his house, and he just brought a box of Dungeons and Dragons second edition materials over, and he was like, "Hey, let's go split these on this one, right? Do your commission for this." He watches these videos, so like he knows that it's a 40-40-20 rule. So this is the first one, Matt. We've done it. We've sold the first one. This one sold for $40 with free shipping. Shipping ended up being about $4 for media mail. So we're going to get $36 out of that. $14 is going to go to me, $14 to Matt, and then 20% goes to eBay. All right, second to last item. This is, again, this is a personal camera that I used to use for eBay. And I think about 2 years ago, I found another camera and started using that one. So this one just sat in my bin. And finally, I was like, what am I doing holding on to this? Up on eBay it went. It took a couple months to sell, but I actually ended up getting full price that I wanted. I got the $30 I was looking for. So I probably bought this brand new from Best Buy, you guys. Probably like $250 but like 10 years ago, right? So I don't know what the sunk cost is into this. I know I've taken this on vacation and used it a ton for different things. So I put $0 cost on this. All right, last item. This is another mother-in-law item. Uh, I didn't figure it had a ton of value, but it was certainly neat to open it up and play with it. Kodak Junior 616 camera, right? This is old, and I don't tend to buy old cameras, but I was like, what the heck? Let's see if we can sell this. And I thought I could get maybe $20 for it. And I think it was about 2 weeks in, I got this offer for 10. I countered at 15, and they were like, how about 13.50? And I always hate when people go down by like another dollar. Like that's kind of ridiculous to me. But I was like, whatever. I'm not going to argue about $1.50. I'll take the 13.50. So about $5.50 to me and about $5.50 to Minnie. All right, so that is it this week. Like I said, $706 is what we brought in, over 21 items. And cost of goods sold was pretty high, $208. Most of that I think is going to be because of the Dennis Nedry figure, right? That one was like $28. And then the Star Wars mugs were $70. So that's 100 of that right there for two of these sales. Mostly because, right, they really weren't bought for resale. But I did end up selling them. I ended up putting about 11 and a half hours in. We went to a bunch of estate sales last weekend. Come back on Saturday to see how we did. It was a lot of fun. We found all sorts of really interesting things. So yeah, let's see. What's the total? $34 per hour. So last week we were at 56. I like to be in that 30 plus range. Like that's kind of like my sweet spot. Right? I don't really want to be spent. I don't really want to get down into the $20 range. Like 30 is about my goal. So I'm really happy. It was a good week. $700 is actually my goal, y'all. I want to have $100 in sales every day, even if it's an average, right? Like I know I didn't have every day was exactly $100. Some of these days I sold over $200 worth of stuff, and some I sold zero. So it just works out that way. Really good week. I'm going to move back to the middle and shake the table, apparently. Let's see. Let's wrap it up. If you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more content like this, please do subscribe to my channel. As I said, I'll be back on Saturday with some live estate sales and then come back on Sunday and you can see what we picked up. It was some good stuff. Once again, my name is Patrick and thank you very much.